Testing. Testing. Testing.
morning, Cubs. Today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. My name is Jesus Martinez.
And my name is Melanie Mendez.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, Texas Pledge, in a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas. One state under God, one and indivisible. Please remain steady for a moment of silence.
Thank you, Cubs. You may be seated. The line way is to be respectful, responsible, safe, and kind. Let's cover our coughs and sneezes, wash our hands, treat each other well, be nice to each other, not say mean things, and be there for each other.
Attention, Cubs. Cubs, remember to follow the dress code. Ponies must be solid color. No torn jeans, no Crocs, or zippers allowed. Hoodies must be zipped or be clean attire.
Attention, Cubs. The end of year awards have been scheduled. Please look at the dates to determine what day applies to you. 7th grade, May 28th at 1 p.m.
6th grade, May 27th at 1 p.m.
8th grade, May 30th at 10 a.m.
Attention, Cubs. Clinton High School Cheer and Dance Summer Camp is now open for registration. It will be June 2nd through June 4th at 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The cost for early registration is $50 and late registration is $65. This is for ages 4 through 14. Deadline for early registration is today. Scan the QR code for more details or contact Ms. Mancho.
Let's go to the other side of the studio for announcements from our guests.
Good morning, Cubs. Happy Tuesday. Glad to see you all here. A few reminders that if you have free dress, that's fine. However, the shorts, ladies, need to be to the end of your middle finger tip on your thigh. We cannot have short shorts. No Daisy Dukes. We're not doing that. We're sending you home if that happens. Gentlemen, no basketball shorts. They need to be like Docker style shorts or denim, and girls too, for that matter.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, slides. I don't know if we talked about slides. You cannot wear slides. We did say yes to Crocs because Crocs have a back strap, but slides do not. So those are out of dress code. You need to change into tennies, or teachers, if they don't have tennies to change, please send them to the front office so they can call home to get shoes that have a back strap.
Also, ladies, no crop tops. So if you're showing your belly button, you need to change.
Yes, so teachers, we will, if you can, just check the dress code first period, send them to the front office, and we will take care of that first thing in the morning because they still need to look presentable and appropriate according to the dress code. Yes. Also, for the basketball game, 8th grade, the 8th grade team is Aurora Martinez, Juan Martinez, Jose Enriquez, Uriel Lozano, Miguel Garcia, James Gages, Isai Hernandez, Jezrai Rosales, Ryan Garcia, Alejandro Gallegos, Kaden Esparza, Damian Silva, Jairo Rincon, Aaron Ortiz, and Caitlin Gonzalez. So that is the 8th grade basketball team for Friday. I have not had a chance to post it, but they announced most of the players yesterday, and then that's the team today. So I'll post that this morning for sure by the front office.
Also, Cubs, if you're going to be invited to intercession, you will get that letter 8th period today. So be on the lookout. Your parents will also get phone calls. So don't think hiding that letter in your backpack is going to get you out of it, because your parents will know when they get the phone call.
Yes, and that invitation is a mandatory
Yes.
invitation.
Yes.
Same for attendance. We will be reviewing that today, and if you do not meet the attendance requirements for the semester, you will be required to attend summer intercession as well.
All right.
Cubs, the decisions you make do have consequences. Please make good decisions following the Lions way of being respectful, responsible, safe, and kind. This Friday, we do have our basketball game, 8th grade versus faculty and staff. And we want everyone to be able to go to that if you would like to go to that. Next week, we have field day on Thursday, and we definitely don't want you guys to miss out on those two opportunities to just have fun, because we've worked hard, but we are not done yet. We still have classes this weekend, all of next week.
Yes. All right, Cubs, we love you. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great day, Cubs.
Thank you. Today's cafeteria menu includes
Chicken pozole soup,
cheese pizzeria,
sunflower butter and jelly sandwich,
chicken patty sandwich,
spicy pepperoni pizza,
cheeseburger,
spicy breaded chicken sandwich,
cheese pizza,
grilled cheese,
popcorn chicken salad.
turkey and cheese sandwich. We would like to wish a very special birthday to
Alexander Ochoa.
Happy birthday! Cubs, let's take a look at our weather for today.
All right, happy birthday to Alexander Ochoa right here. Happy birthday. Okay. All right, so we want to go ahead and report the weather this morning. We have sunny, beautiful skies. We're back to normal El Paso weather. Okay. Currently, right now, we sit at 71 degrees. This afternoon, we're going to get a high of 86. In the evening, back to 74. And overnight, when you are Mimi's, going back to 62 degrees, okay? As you can see, we are having nothing but clear skies, 0% chance of rain throughout the entire day and so on. All right, so again, just like Ms. Gallego was saying, Cubs, remember your actions do have consequences. I know it feels like we're ready to start off the summer, but remember, regardless of the activities that you're doing in class, you still have to do your work, participate, okay? Be on time, behave, do those things so that you don't get to miss field day and that game. By the way, going on that game, teachers, I got my money on you. I got teachers like Mr. Ugarte, Mr. Franco, okay, that are going to bring the money, okay? I just know it, okay? Coach Wick, show them what the legends are made of, all right? Okay, so this is what I got for y'all. Back to y'all.
Thank you.
This
This
concludes
concludes today's announcements. Cubs, remember that we love you.
and that at Clean Junior.
We are working together.